court. It was founded almost entirely on hearsay and did not involve matters that were relevant to our defense. But because that was her testimony, the cross-examination was confined to that area. Now we want to call her back to point out matters that are crucial to the defense of the Chief Justice. And these are, and I'm going to keep saying it again so that she will know what I'm calling her back for, to establish that she did not do her job, to establish that she could have prevented Gloria Macapagal Arroyo from traveling long before the Arroyos went to the Supreme Court. You will remember, they went to the Supreme Court because Leila de Lima issued a written order and it stated that she was put on a watch list and therefore could not leave. This is an ineffective order. What she should have done was to file a criminal case because she had all the evidence to do so and ask the court to issue a whole departure order. If she had done that, there would have been no chance to go to the Supreme Court, and this whole hullabaloo about stopping Macapagal Arroyo at NAIA would never have happened. So we want to establish that she has been incompetent, she has not done her job, and that this whole issue about Gloria Macapagal Arroyo is a result of her failure to do what she should have done in the first place. Now, apart from Leila de Lima, the other witnesses will center on issues relating to the properties. This seems to be the only real point of interest at this time. These will involve persons who have acquired properties from the Coronas or persons from whom properties were acquired. The other thing I think that people should be conscious of is that the focus of the public attention now deals with the statement of assets and liabilities and net worth. In case you're not aware, the deadline for the filing of the latest SALN was April 30th. This means that the Chief Justice has already filed a new SALN. Theoretically, I have not seen it yet. I have not had time to confirm it. I have not seen it, and I don't think I break any confidence by telling you that he has prepared it himself this time, or with the assistance of persons who are unknown to him. Right? But at any rate, I expect that the new SALN of the Chief Justice will contain the information that is of interest in the impeachment proceedings. In other words, if his new SALN contains or answers all the questions that have been raised in this impeachment, then it implies two things. First, if it contains all that information, there is no need for him to testify. Second, if it contains all the information being sought, then what are we talking about? Because the allegation, as explained by Attorney Franquil, is that there was merely a failure to file and disclose the SALN. Well, apparently that is not the case. I want to remind you also that the law itself provides that in case of any complaint, the public officer may amend his SALN. He may correct it without penalty. So the filing of the latest SALN, at the very worst, can be regarded as a correction of any deficiencies that may have been noticed from the previous SALN. In other words, we come down to the ultimate question. Are we really involved in litigating an impeachable offense? Or has this been simply a gross misunderstanding of the law? Timeline? If it were up to me, I would finish this in 3 or 4 days. Unfortunately, it is not my decision alone.
Mario Ortiz, former mayor of Cebu City.
After acquittal, the Chief Justice agrees to resign. Of course, this is unacceptable. But what is most interesting is the premise. To come and tell me that the palace is willing to accept an acquittal is in effect telling me, you know, we know he didn't really do anything wrong. We just want him out. Resignation has been the primary objective. When the case was filed, you remember it was filed in December 14. December 14. On or about December 12, December 13, I was speaking with the Chief Justice. We were preparing. We were unsure what was going to happen. And he told me, I expect the impeachment complaint to come out today or tomorrow, etc. Maybe we should go and get a restraining order as soon as it comes out. I said, let us not do that. That is the last thing we should do. He said, why not? Because that is exactly what they want you to do. They want you to run to the Supreme Court, get a TRO, and then he will go to the people and say, oh, you see, he's using his own Supreme Court to block any accountability. We may as well march on him and force him to resign. He said, do you think so? I said, absolutely. Why would they file it in December? If they were serious about this, they would have filed it in January. They're filing it in December to give you time to make a mistake or to think about resignation. They're threatening you with maligning your family and your good name, involving your wife and your children in order to pressure you into resigning. The issue of resignation has dogged him all throughout this proceeding. Up to now, they're asking us to accept, to agree. If we will allow him to resign after an acquittal, then all will be well. It is impossible. Why? We are at the point of no return. They've thrown everything at him but the kitchen sink. There is no, it would be ridiculous for the Chief Justice to resign. And for him to resign now, in exchange for safe haven, would be a betrayal of his colleagues in the judiciary. I'm afraid that he's determined to stand there till the very end. And he's committed to the principle of defending the judiciary and the rule of law. He has no choice but to frame the battle in these terms. I'm afraid it's very sad that the President has publicly made this look like a very personal battle. Unfortunately.
Let me share with you the thoughts of the Chief Justice when we asked him about this plan of freedom. And I think you would like to know, at the outset, when we asked him what was his reaction. You know, a few days before the start of the proceedings, we had a meeting with him. And we had to ask him, in the light of the 45 properties and the clamor for him to resign, we asked him point blank, will you resign? After we have exposed ourselves, will you leave us at the middle of the fight? What was his response? His response was very simple. He said, I talked to my family. I could be bloody and messed up and just with very few friends. But I will fight and stand for what I believe is right until the end. That was his statement.
So people tend to lose confidence in the Supreme Court. Now what will happen if Corona goes back in there and the minds of the Filipino is not, the Supreme Court is not something that we can depend on?
I'm sorry, but I respect your point of view, but I have to disagree. The recent decision on Hacienda Luisita is proof. Chief Justice Corona is now being hailed as the savior of agrarian reform. The farmers are cheering that decision. Why? Well, first they ruled to return Hacienda Luisita 14-0 last year. The same score, 14-0. The same number of votes in this last decision. No wavering. This demonstrates that internally, the leadership of the Chief Justice is unaffected. In fact, I can tell you with a straight face he still enjoys considerable support in the judiciary. Yes, I am sorry to tell you, you are being misled by a well-organized media machine. Yes, I am sorry to tell you that mass media has been shaping public opinion in accordance with the palace's point of view. But inside the judiciary, there is quite a different picture. He might not be viewed as the perfect leader, but there is no question that the Chief Justice is viewed as the leader of the judiciary. And he continues to enjoy that support. And I would boldly say that if and when he is acquitted, he will be purified. Of course, in the public eye, the burden is his to prove whether or not he deserves to remain. The issue of reforms is a continuing concern in the judiciary. That will be his problem. But up to this point, he continues to enjoy the support of the court.
Go to President Rotary. Okay, just quick.
From a Rotarian to another Rotarian. Let me just share my thoughts on this one. I think it's very clear that there was a complaint. And I think you are aware that the complaint is not strong, as it was packaged to be. However, there is what you call, to my mind, a second line of defense, which to my mind, only to my mind, my personal view, is what you call the damaged goods theory. They have peddled the damaged goods theory, or the whiter than white theory. Meaning, yes, these are your sins, these are your offenses. If they cannot prove it, there's a second line of defense. You are a damaged good, you are unfit, you have no integrity, and therefore you will have to leave. An offense or no offense, you will have to leave the judiciary. I am really puzzled with this presentation or this theory. Why? Does it mean that the Chief Justice will be above all other public officers in terms of integrity? I think everyone should have integrity on the same level. It being a requirement of the Constitution, the public office is a public trust. So this is, to my mind, I'm not saying that you believe me. This is just my own personal view of what is happening. There's a first line of attack, which is the complaint. And to my mind, if it fails, the second line of attack is the damage to theory, or the whiter than white theory.
I was able to listen to the prosecution. When I listened to the prosecution present their evidences, it was really like a comedy show. And then if you compare it with the presentation of the defense, it was brilliant. If you ask me to decide, based on my personal opinion, I would give it to the defense. But unfortunately, things doesn't work out that way. At the end of the day, it seems that people are not going to, however good your strategy or your presentation is, it seems that it is becoming more of a popularity decision. And the judges are actually politicians that were voted based on popularity. So what would be your strategy to, let's say, win it to your favor? Because I think at the end of the day, it's going to be a popularity decision.
I have to dispute the premise. Meaning to say, I don't think the senators are naive enough to think that this is entirely about surveys and a perception of public opinion. Some of the most learned individuals on surveys and public opinion are the senators themselves. These people are always concerned with the public pulse and so forth. And I would like to suggest to you that perhaps a good number of them are concerned with a more statesmanly point of view, such as preserving the prestige and the esteem of the Senate, which at this point enjoys the highest popularity rating, if you want to talk about popularity. In other words, I am not especially concerned with public opinion as such, because this involves 23 votes of 23 senators, not yours or mine.